Things you don't know about Mulan. Mulan is a 2020 American action drama film directed by Niki Caro, with the screenplay by Rick Jaffa, Amanda Silver, Lauren Hynek, and Elizabeth Martin, and produced by Walt Disney Pictures. The film is based on the Chinese folklore, The Ballad of Mulan, and is a live-action adaptation of Disney's 1998 animated film of the same name. The film stars Liu Yifei in the title role, alongside Donnie Yen, Jason Scott Lee, Yoson An, Gong Li, and Jet Li in supporting roles. Plans for a live-action Mulan remake began in 2010, but the project never came to fruition. In March 2015, a new attempt was announced, and Caro was hired to direct in February 2017. Liu was cast in the title role in November 2017, following a casting roll of 1,000 actresses, and the rest of the cast joined over the following year. Filming began in August 2018 and lasted through November, taking place in New Zealand and China. Mulan is the first live-action remake from Disney to be given a PG-13 rating by NPA. It was scheduled to be released in the United States on March 27, 2020, but was delayed due to the 2019-20 coronavirus pandemic, with a new release date to be announced later on. Enough with the intro. Here are the things you don't know about Mulan. Number 1. It took 5 years and 700 crew members to make the film. While fans were inevitably bummed over recent news of the live-action adaptation's 2-year premiere delay, the original film was a whopping 5-year production. And Oh My Disney, it took a village and a lot of coffee, like 1630 pounds of it. There are reportedly 700 animators, artists, and technicians employed on Mulan. But what are a few years and hundreds of crew members in the grand scheme of its success? According to the Forbes, the animated flick earned $304 million worldwide and was the 7th best grossing film of the year. Number 2. It based on a legend. According to Pop Sugar, the story of Mulan was actually derived from folk song The Ballad of Mulan. Originating from Northern Wei dynasty, the legend follows Hua Mulan, a woman that lives behind her family for 12 years to serve as a soldier. The Disney version was likely inspired by Zhu Wei play. The heroine joins the army in the place of her father. Her Oscar-nominated soundtrack. I knew the film was some bops, but apparently the Academy thought so too. Mulan was nominated for 2 Oscars, Best Original Musical and Best Comedy Score. Beloved tracks like I'll Make a Man Out of You and Reflection helped secure the soundtrack its top spot on the Billboard charts, while it ultimately landed on 24. Number 4. Filmmakers slaved over the lyrics of one famous track. Oh My Disney reports that Mulan creators really wanted to nail Reflection, so much so that they took several passes on its lyrics. According to the site, they wanted to convey Mulan's true intentions: to be herself and make her father proud. The song is actually relatable AF, with lines like How I Pray that a time will come I can free myself from their expectations, and I may never pass for the perfect bride or perfect daughter. Can it be? I am not meant to play this part. It's all kind of applicable in this day and age. Ever felt like you could not live up to someone or society's expectations? Mulan has been there. Number 5. Poor Mushu did not get a solo. The writer tried out 3 introduction songs for Mulan's sidekick, Mushu, but ultimately the poor guy, Draven, didn't get a stirring moment. According to Oh My Disney, every time they tried to incorporate an intro track, it seemed to halt the film, leading to their decision to cut out his solo altogether. Bummer. Number 6. Mulan is the only princess that's not, well, actually a princess. Mulan is the only princess that was not born into royalty or paired up with a prince, and I am so here for her unique path. The film's focus is all about her personal journey, supporting her family and following her own ambition. To me, that's way more powerful than a crown. Number 7. The ending shot of the crowd has major meaning. Yes, to define social expectations. Am I right? According to the producer Pam Coates, Mulan not only confronts these standards head-on, but she also manages to alter them. The crowd bowing in the closing sequence symbolizes how she has changed the way society thinks, simply because she has true to herself and her heart. If only it were that easy. Number 8. The film launched Christina Aguilera's career. Christina's Mulan hit Reflection skyrocketed her to success. Fresh off her time on the Mickey Mouse Club, Christina was looking to move forward. And the film did exactly that for her career. According to Entertainment, it was her impressive vocals on the track that landed her a record deal with RCA. Look how far it's taken her. Number 9. Mulan was one of 2 Disney princesses to wear pants. I find it pretty insane that only 2 princesses skipped the ball grounds, but it further cements Mulan's important role in the Disney empire. BuzzFeed reports allowing Jasmine, Mulan, as the only pair to sport pants. Comfort and equality are the key, and I am glad these girls got it. Number 10. Mulan was produced at Walt Disney World. While other Disney classics like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, The Little Mermaid were all partially produced at Disney MGM Studio, Mulan was the first feature primarily produced on the Walt Disney World property, and all while the theme park's guests watched. How cool. Only 2 additional films would be primarily focused on Walt Disney, his feature animation Florida in Disney MGM Studios. Lilo and Stitch, which released in 2002, and Brother Bear, which released in 2003. The animation studio would eventually close the next year in 2004. Number 11. Jackie Chan stars in the film. In the Chinese version of Mulan, Shang's character is voiced by iconic Jackie Chan. Chan also went on to make a music video of the hit Mulans song, I'll Make a Man Out of You. Number 12. Kree was created by one of the oldest Disney animators. I don't know you about all, but Kree is one of my favorite characters from Mulan. How cool is it that this character was created by Joe Grant, who was one of the oldest Disney animators of the time. An animator who had previously worked on Snow White. Grant came up with the character of Kree and began leaving his sketches and ideas under the director's door. Number 13. Mulan and Jasmine's voice connection. Did you know the singing voice of Mulan is also the same as Jasmine from Aladdin? Lee Salagna is the voice behind both Disney females when they sing. Did you ever catch this? Salagna actually auditioned for Mulan's speaking voice as well, but when it came time for Mulan to pretend to be Pink, Salagna's voice could deep enough. And the story is even more epic. Disney is famous for altering the source material that their films are based on. In many cases, this is to make it less scary for younger audiences, such as when fairy tales are updated to eliminate some of their more gruesome elements. In the case of Mulan, however, the story is made a lot less epic. In the original legend, Mulan lived either during Sui dynasty or the Northern Wei dynasty. What remains consistent among retellings is that she did volunteer herself in order to save her father. A key difference is that, in the legend, rather than being raised to be a docile wife, Mulan was actually trained in martial arts by her father from childhood. She read her father's books and became an expert in military strategy. When the emperor put together an army to fight off invading tribes, Mulan volunteered to make her father's place as her brother was still too young. Unlike in the film, Mulan's parents knew what she planned to do, eventually supported her. Mulan ended up staying in the army for 12 years and was highly honored at the end of the war. Number 15. Mulan should not be using a folding fan. According major anomaly in the film is the folding fans that are used. While fans have been around for millennia, the type of fan Mulan is using would not have been used at that time period. Mulan would more likely have used a flat circular fan. The earliest folded fans were found in 8th century Japan, but did not become commonly used in China until the 15th century, long after Mulan would have lived. Number 16. Why does the Fa family have only one child? It seems pretty strange that Fa family has only one child. Judging from their home and vast expense of their property, the Fa family is probably reasonably well off and could afford to have another child. The absence of more children is even stranger when you consider the long-held preference in Chinese culture for male children, which continues even into modern times. Male children have traditionally been preferred, in part as a form of insurance. Women were married off and became part of the husband's home. caring for their in-laws as their husbands' parents grew older. Having a son ensured that someone would take care of the parents in their old age. Even if we were to assume that Mulan's mother could not have any more children, it was common to have concubines at this time. Had the Fa family had a son, there would have been someone to take the place of Mulan's father. The original story makes more sense in this regard, as Mulan does have a younger brother, but he is too young to take his father's place. Number 17. Why do the bad guys have dark skin? It's pretty troubling that the Hans in the film are all portrayed with darker skin. The preference for lighter skin is deeply rooted in Chinese culture, as it is in much of Asia. This alarming trait results in many people, especially women, lightening their skin with whitening products. Those with darker skin are often viewed as inferior. Perpetuating these outdated ideals of beauty in what is supposed to be a children's movie is not only problematic but also points to a larger trend in which special privilege is given to those with lighter skin in the media. Not cool, Disney. Number 18. How is there only one young, attractive man in the film? There are a lot of men in this film, and the vast majority are not conventionally and could perhaps be overlooked if it were not for the fact that Mulan's eventual love interest, Shang, is clearly meant to contrast the other men. Shang is tall and handsome, with a pointed nose, which gives him more European features than the other men who are portrayed with the rounded, flat noses. Mulan's father is an older, distinguished gentleman who, much like Shang, is portrayed as being tall with a more pointed nose. This is especially distressing when you look at how Asian men have historically been emasculated in Western media. Eddie Hung, author of Fresh Off the Boat, wrote an op-ed in the New York Times about the stereotypical portrait of Asian men in media. Huang said, "Every Asian American man knows what the dominant culture has to say about us. We are naturally subordinate. Our male anatomy is size of a thumb drive, and we could never in 1,000 millenniums be a threat to steal your world." In portraying Shang with European features, Disney sends the message that Asian men are not desirable. Number 19. There were no rockets in ancient China. Many people know that fireworks are developed in China, but at the time Mulan would have believed rockets had not been invented. A history of fireworks, History.com, wrote that it was not until the 10th century that the Chinese had developed crude bombs and began attaching firecrackers to arrows that rained down on their adversaries during military engagements. It would be another 2 centuries before they learned how to fire explosives into the air and guide them toward enemy targets, essentially building the first rockets. Mulan and the Chinese army would most likely have fought the enemy with arrows, swords, and hand-to-hand combat. Number 20. How did the Han army survive being buried in snow? Watching an animated Disney film usually requires the viewer to suspend their disbelief, but sometimes that gets a little tricky to do. One of the hardest times to do this in Mulan is during the big battle scene where Mulan shoots a rocket at a mountain, creating an avalanche. When the avalanche buries the Hans in the snow, the army goes off to the capital to celebrate their victory, but Mulan soon discovers that Hans survived. As a kid, I did not question that much. As an adult, however, I want to know how Hans survived being buried under what looks like several feet of snow. The impact alone should have caused some severe damage, if it did not kill them outright. But how did they survive the cold? How did they manage to dig their way out? Do they have some sort of supernatural powers? It just does not make any sense. Number 21. Shang is gay. Shang probably felt conflicted about his sexuality for a while. Shang and Mulan share some pretty emotionally intimate moments while Mulan is masquerading as a man. While the audience can appreciate the growing attraction Mulan has for Shang, most kids probably are not thinking about how conflicted Shang must feel. He is clearly drawn to Mulan, who he thinks is a man. This probably led to a lot of confusion about his sexuality, which might be why Shang acts as if he has been personally betrayed when it's revealed that Mulan is a woman. Number 22. Leaving someone out in the snow does not count as saving their life. Shang supposedly spares Mulan's life instead of killing her when he finds out she is a woman because she had saved his life. This is meant to repay the debt he owes her, but he does not actually do anything to make sure that Mulan survives. She only has a tiny fire and is wearing light clothes with nothing more than a skimpy blanket to protect her from the cold. A basket of dumplings would not be enough to keep her fed on the long journey home, assuming that she even knew how to get there. Shang did not really spare Mulan's life. She just condemned her to die a long, slow death in the cold. Number 23. Mulan does not actually question traditional roles at any point. For a movie that is meant to show a woman can do what a man can do, it seems pretty strange that Mulan does not question traditional gender roles at any point. When she is sent to matchmaker, she genuinely tries to comfort the feminine ideal and feels like she has failed her family when she does not. Even when she joins army, it is not out of a belief that she is equal to a man, but because she wants to save her father. Women in ancient China were generally treated as inferior and were typically expected to be subservient to men. While Mulan eventually rebels against these gender roles, she never actually questions them. Number 24. Mulan should have kicked Shang to the curb. Mulan thankfully did not end with Mulan and Shang falling in love and living happily ever after, but their eventual romance is heavily hinted at by the end of the film. If Mulan had truly evolved into a strong, independent woman, she would have sent the guy packing instead of asking him to stay for dinner. She is the same guy who pretty much left her to die in that snow and then refused to listen to her warning that Hans had survived. At the very last, Mulan should have demanded an apology for Shang's despicable behavior. The fact that she lets him off the hook so easily is a disappointing way to end the film. Number 25. Mulan was probably not a real person. The beloved Disney story came from an ancient Chinese ballad from the Song dynasty called Ode to Mulan. This poem was originally part of a musical collection of lyrics and songs that no longer exist, which makes tracing the original difficult. The inspiration for this poem could have come from a real person. However, this was never confirmed. Number 26. One earlier version of the myth had Mulan commit suicide in order to avoid being a concubine. Since the legend is over 1500 years old, there are many variations. One darker story is called Legends from Sui and Tang. In this story, Mulan is awarded for bravery in the battle despite being found out as a female. She returns home to bring the riches to her family, only to discover her father died long ago. After receiving an order from the emperor to become his concubine, she commits suicide. Number 27. Fa Zhu did have a son. Mulan had a younger brother, a real one, not the dog. A line in the original film clearly states, when little brother hears elder sister is coming home, he whets the knife quick to kill the pig and sheep. So why was not Mulan's brother forced to join the army instead? An earlier line in the poem vaguely suggests that he was too young to enlist. Number 8. The name Mulan uses in the Disney film Fa Ping is actually a very clever Chinese pun. Fa Ping would translate into Hua Ping, which has the same pronunciation as Hua Ping or flower pot. Since Mulan's original name Mulan means flower, wood, or shade, it suggests that she is poking fun at herself. Furthermore, Mulan is used as slang in Chinese to describe female eye candy, such as spokesmodels. Number 29. Shifu's name literally means to bully. Number 30. Mulan's horse is named Khan, which is the title the emperor or the leader is preferred to in the original poem. The title Khan was given to the rulers in the ancient Turkey and Mongolia. With this information, it is suggested that Mulan is actually of Turkic or even Mongol descent. It is ironic given that the Mongolian Huns are the villains that she thwarts in the Disney film. We are curious to see whether Disney will use more context from the poem or myth in the remake of Mulan. Let us know what you think. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please subscribe to my channel, hit the like button below, and please don't forget to share this video with your friends.